Okay, we're recording.
And we're back somehow. It's
I
been
know.
ages.
Taking a little break, giving you guys a break to catch up on all of the older episodes, I hope.
Yeah,
um,
seriously. Um,
because I'm sure you've missed us terribly.
I really tried to stay on top of things. I actually did write this story, most of this story, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Welcome back. Welcome to Forbidden, the podcast where we discuss the disgusting, the dark, and the disgraceful, all in our unmentionables. That's right, listener, we have slipped into something more comfortable, and we hope that you are doing the same. I'm Blake Roberts.
And I'm Amanda Kamada. And welcome back, Blake. I feel like you've been traveling for ages.
I think I've had maybe 3 or 4 trips since we last recorded.
Yeah,
One personal
right.
and maybe a couple of business trips in there.
Yeah. You've been like not home a lot.
Yeah, I'm really tired. Even on my vacation, I was seeing things happening at work that was
Mhm.
stressful. And so I've been really anxious and not sleeping.
Yeah,
So
well,
glad.
I don't know if you're like me, but I find it very difficult to detach from work when I go on vacation. Like, I always marvel at how great Ron is with that. Like, he will basically tell his office, like, I am on vacation, I am out of pocket, do not contact me, and he doesn't check email. He like literally can unplug when he's on vacation. And he's always said it's because he puts so much into it when he's there, and every week that he's there. But I cannot do that. I am tempted to open up my emails and then I'll figure out that there's something going on and then I'll want to jump in, but I know I shouldn't because it's going to ruin my vacation.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's basically what happens to me.
that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah,
We we took a family cruise. I'll get into this more in our
sure.
Talk of Shame episode, but
Yeah.
I will share this. We took a family cruise to Hawaii for my parents' 50th anniversary, and I was getting all the notifications, and maybe midway through the trip, Josh and I were at a bar on the beach, and we could see the cruise ship off in the distance, and out in the bay, there was a pod of dolphins playing,
Mhm.
like doing backflips and like spins in the air, just the whole time we were there, and we had a couple of beers, and it was just so nice. So I went into my settings and I turned all my notifications off,
Yeah,
and it got better after that.
right.
But yeah, it definitely. But anyway, I'm recovering from all the trips, and I literally woke up 30 minutes ago when my
Me
hair
too.
was.
Me too. That's why I look like shit. And I slapped some makeup on. I got up this morning and like walked the dogs and started some laundry and stuff like that. And then I sat down on the couch to kind of wait on the laundry, or excuse me, sofa, to wait on the laundry. And I completely fell asleep. And then I popped up and I was like, it was one of those like, oh shit, what time is it? Like sort of situations. So I'm kind of just waking up myself. So,
Yeah,
listener, if we're a little rusty, that's why. But I'll let you get into it.
yeah, it's gonna get better. So I guess I'll. So I didn't share any hints because I
No,
didn't know what my story because it's been so long.
right.
So first of all, welcome to our limited series, Notorious, a glimpse into the dark side of fame. So I give you that. And then the hints that I did not share with you, but I have them now, are
Okay.
freak, crack pipe, and false imprisonment.
P. Diddy?
Not a far cry.
No. Well, that's all I got right now. So I didn't know what to pair anything with, and it's a little earlier in the day, listener. So I paired mine with a White Claw today. I poured it in a glass though because I always feel like kind of trashy drinking out of a can. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just do. It doesn't feel very elegant, and so I put it in a vintage cup that I have, or a
I love
glass.
it.
But
It's
thank you.
cute. So yeah, I didn't do pairings either. I am having a Bloody Mary, and it is garnished with pickled okra that came from Bob's garden. You know, it's
Yeah.
guy Bob. So I haven't had one of those yet. I love okra.
Did they pickle the okra and give it to you, or did you
Yeah,
pickle the okay. I was
he
about to
pickled
say,
it.
how do you know how to pickle something?
I don't. I know how to
Yeah.
eat it.
Yeah, same. Well,
Mm.
cheers.
Cheers. So this is the story of when Rick James faced the sentence of life in prison if convicted of the charges of assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated mayhem, torture, forcible oral copulation, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. Are you familiar with this?
I knew that he almost went to prison, and I don't know any of the details of the story. That I was probably too young when it happened, to actually, understand what was going on because I'm not exactly sure when it happened, but I do know. I think he was a crackhead, right?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
It is, yes.
Um,
If you let it get control of you.
yeah. Okay, so Rick James and his then girlfriend, Tanya Ann Hijazi, met 24-year-old Frances Alley at a party. Frances was unemployed at the time, so when the King of Funk invited her to stay with the couple at their Hollywood Hills home, she accepted.
Probably
I,
jumped.
right? Like, if you're unemployed and you're at a party and a celebrity invites you to stay with them at their home in the
Yeah.
hills,
Yeah. I'd do
mhm,
it anyway if I wasn't unemployed.
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure whatever they have is better than whatever I lived in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So the three spent some days, and I'm not sure, it sounds like maybe 2 or 3 days, smoking crack cocaine and having sex. On July 16th, 1991, things became violent. The, the singer threatened Frances with a gun, accusing her of stealing his drugs. He said if she tried to leave, he'd kill her.
Oh my God.
Frances was tied naked to a chair, and the couple burned her legs and abdomen more than 20 times with a hot knife and crack pipe for an excruciating 40 minutes. She was forced to smoke crack against her will, all while tied to a chair. She was then untied and forced to have oral sex with Hijazi while Rick James watched before all three had sex together. On July 17th, Rick James released Frances and she fled to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles for the treatment of her severe burns. After hearing the allegations, authorities issued warrants for the arrest of James and Hijazi.
Wow.
But it gets crazier. The couple were released on bail, and then in November of 1992, they had a meeting with music executive Mary Sauger in a St. James Club hotel room in West Hollywood. The couple, again under the influence of drugs, became enraged, slapping Mary over and over. She was held against her will and attacked over a 20-hour period.
Jesus.
This is a music executive.
Yeah.
So a little bit about Rick James. For those listeners who are maybe a little bit younger or just don't know. And I
Mhm.
actually don't know a lot of this. I know one song,
Yeah, me too.
right?
Yeah.
So Rick James was a groundbreaking funk and R&B artist, best known for his hit Super Freak. Born in Buffalo, New York in 1948, he was raised by a single mother and exposed to crime from a young age. She operated an illegal business running numbers. Um, so James's early life was turbulent, with a rebellious streak that led to experimenting with drugs and a brief stint in the U.S. Naval Reserve, which he fled to avoid Vietnam. He later found solace in music, moving to Toronto, where he formed his first band, the Mina Birds, which included future stars like Neil Young. I had no idea that Neil Young and Rick James
Had any
operated in the
sort
same
of
band.
no, or had any sort of connection whatsoever.
Right. It's crazy. In the 1970s and 1980s, James rose to fame with Motown, releasing successful albums like Come Get It and Street Songs, featuring Super Freak. Known for his wild lifestyle, his addiction to drugs, especially cocaine, escalated, contributing to erratic behavior and personal controversies. His professional feud with Prince and his indulgence in drugs, orgies, and rock star excess became infamous. So, are you familiar with his feud with Prince?
No, I don't think so.
So, back when Prince was just getting started, and don't quote me on this because I read this in a book about Prince years ago, so grain of salt, but I want to say, Prince was working out of Minneapolis, and he was big there, like on the local level. And I think Rick James noticed him and invited him to tour with him. So Prince, during this time, I think he maybe had released Dirty Mind, the Dirty Mind album, which I'm trying to remember what's on that album. When You Were Mine, which is my favorite Cyndi Lauper song that she covered after this.
Yeah.
That was on there. It's a great album. Anyway, that's around the time period, so early 80s. And on tour, Rick James accused Prince of trying to basically steal his style. So then Rick James stole Prince's like synthesizers or something like that because he like thought the sound was interesting, so he wanted to like take it basically.
Right.
So it just sort of went on from there. But I digress. So Rick James was eventually charged with assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated mayhem, torture, forcible oral copulation, false imprisonment, and kidnapping for the crimes against both Allie and Sauger.
Okay.
During the trial, he appeared to be indifferent to the charges and sentence that he faced, so much so that he actually fell asleep during the trial and began to audibly snore.
Oh my God. You're facing like major charges and you just go to sleep. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, that's nuts. Like, while his lawyer claimed his fatigue was due to bronchitis, his lack of empathy and contempt for his victims was clear. Rick James, who testified in his defense, which is always a great.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah. He denied the charges, saying someone else burned the first woman and that only Hijazi struck the second woman. Major eye roll. During the trial, Mary recounted a cycle of beatings that led to unconsciousness, followed by reviving with water. So they were like beating the hell out of her and then giving her water to like bring her back.
Yeah.
He was found guilty of 1 count of assault and false imprisonment involving Mary. Many of the allegations made by Francis were not upheld. Thanks in part to a strong legal defense team, Rick James managed to avoid life imprisonment after being cleared of the torture charge.
Wow. Sounds like another OJ situation.
Right?
Yeah.
He was convicted on 3 of 14 charges involving the assault and torture of both women, but escaped a possible life sentence when a jury acquitted him on 1 count of torture and deadlocked on another. Hijazi, who was originally charged on the same 14 counts, pleaded guilty to a single count of assault with a deadly weapon. In exchange for her plea, prosecutors dismissed all other charges. She was sentenced to a concurrent 2-year term in prison for violating probation on a prior unrelated embezzlement conviction, and also fined $5,000 to be paid to a victim's restitution fund. So Hijazi, who was 23 at the time, had asked that her sentencing be delayed so that she could spend more time with her and Rick James's 16-month-old son.
Oh no, they had a kid.
Uh-huh.
Great.
I know. She also requested extra time to make arrangements to marry James, who was taken to jail immediately upon his conviction. And she tried to get the judge, like the trial judge, to marry them. And he was like, "This is ridiculous. I'm not doing that."
These people are crazy.
Yeah. So, okay. Rick James served only 2 years of his 5-year sentence due to prosecutorial misconduct, and I don't know what that was about. He got released early. Eventually, Rick James was ordered to pay $1 million to Mary in a civil suit. Despite attempts to relaunch his career after his release, including a new album in 1997 and a memorable appearance on Chappelle's Show in 2004, James struggled to regain his former success. He died in 2004 at age 56 from a heart attack, with drug use likely contributing to his death. Despite his musical influence, his legacy remains complex, shaped by both undeniable talent and his struggles with addiction and violence. But sort of another sort of sad period punctuation on this story. Since his death in 2004, further charges have come to light, including the rape of a 15-year-old girl at knife point and
Oh
other
my.
and other incidents of assault. So just a big downward spiral for him. And that's the story of Rick James. Rich.
So the 15-year-old, when did that happen? Did that happen around the same time as the other assaults, or was
I
that
couldn't
something that was newer?
I couldn't find anything on it. It sounded like maybe it had happened earlier and it just was coming to light. I'm sure like this happened to a 15-year-old who's like didn't know what to do with it. She was
Oh,
raped by a
absolutely.
celebrity.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and back in like 2004 or something like that, or even prior to that, like there wasn't, like, if that happened today, like everything that happened, and he went to trial today, particularly after the whole like Harvey Weinstein thing and all of that kind of stuff, like he would have certainly done more jail time. It would have been like one of those things where he would have served more time, or
right.
been convicted. I think this is a great segue, even though we're not in the talk of shame, to talk about like everything that's gone on with like Jeffrey Epstein and now like P Diddy, what's coming out. Like, he's not as wealthy or as huge as Diddy, but the whole thing is that I guarantee you, like, more would have come out of the woodwork other than the 15-year-old if it happened like in today's world. More people probably would have spoken up. People probably didn't speak up because he was dead by that time, and he couldn't be held accountable. They couldn't get a civil lawsuit against him. Maybe his estate, but he probably didn't have anything left to give anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, and like prior to the Me Too movement, victim stories like that didn't have the same impact that they
Right.
do now. So even if
Right.
there were additional people coming forward, it makes sense that we wouldn't have heard it back then.
Exactly. Yeah. What are your sources?
So my sources for this story were an article from grunge.com, allthat'sinteresting.com. I just got some biographical stuff from there.
I love that site.
Yeah, me
So
too.
helpful. Yeah.
And an article by Julio Moran from the LA Times from 1993. Article from Far Out Magazine by Tom Taylor from 2021. And that's it. Those are my sources for this story. So, because I've been so out of pocket, as they say, over the past couple weeks, I have missed everything that's happened with Diddy. The only thing I know are just from the memes that you sent me.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening there.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I don't.
he was obviously arrested in New York. He
Mhm.
claimed that he was in New York to turn himself in, but I highly doubt that that is the case, as he was seen at like Central Park and stuff like that a couple days before. He happened to be in New York, and I think they found that was the best time to nab him. But, he's facing a mound of charges, everything from, sexual, not harassment, but sexual
Assault.
abuse, sexual assault, perhaps there are underage people involved with this. It sounds like it's kind of different than the Jeffrey Epstein thing, but it sounds like he would, kind of like Rick James did in your story, like find people who were like either wanting to be in the industry, or, like just, or hiring male and female sex workers to come to these parties that he has, all of his white parties and stuff like that. Well, he would hold parties, and some of these would turn into late night parties, and then I guess some of these were like standalone parties, and he called them freak offs, where they would have like hours of sex, and and people have said that they were sort of drugged and did things against their will, that there was her alleged rape involved, that they were asked to perform, under the influence of drugs and alcohol that they were given, and like they think that their drinks were like spiked with stuff. I don't know. It sounds like it's a situation where there are going to be a lot of famous names that come out in this, because if you think about his white parties, like there
Mm-hmm.
were tons of celebrities and, tons of people in the music industry, from, actual performers up to like, agents and managers, producers, all of that kind of stuff. So it sounds like he's in like a great deal of trouble. So, yeah.
So you sent me a couple of memes about Johnson's and Johnson's. What
Yes.
is that about?
Oh my God. So they raided his home in like homes in Miami and in I think LA as well. And I don't know if this was combined between the two homes or what, or it was found at one home, but they found like 1,000 bottles of Johnson's baby oil, like 1,000 that were allegedly used, they think, in these freak offs. Like that he had like a huge stash of Johnson and Johnson baby oil, as well as other like forms of lubricant and stuff like that. And look, I'm not suggesting that if you want to have freaky ass sex and have sex
Yeah,
marathons and parties and stuff like that, like
go for it.
go for it, But I think what's coming out is that these people were doing it either under duress or against their will, or feeling like they were being intimidated to do so, because he always had like big security guards and stuff around, and he had guns, and it already came out that he abused that gal Cassie that he settled with back in, I think it was maybe November of last year, where they caught him on tape, beating the hell out of her, like by an elevator at a hotel. And he settled with her. And she said that it's kind of like what started all of this, I think, because she was telling them what she had to do, what he made her do, and how he threatened her, in different ways and all this kind of stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes out of all of this. And he's done for professionally, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never like a huge fan. Like,
I don't know.
and I enjoy, especially back in the late 90s, I enjoyed hip hop a lot. But I feel like any song that I liked that was a Puff Daddy song back then, right? I liked them because of the collaborator, not because of him.
Right. Right. Like I like Biggie Smalls, but he was kind
Uh-huh.
of behind that. He needed to stay more of a producer, because his stuff on his own is not that great, like honestly, But I'm with you. Like I loved like love Dr. Dre. I love Snoop Dogg, I
Mm-hmm.
love that whole era of rap and hip hop and that sort of thing. But I've never been a big Diddy fan at all.
Yeah.
And he always, seemed like he was up to no good. Well, all of them seemed like they're up to no good to a certain point because they live that lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
that's very reckless and full of guns and, all of that kind. The rapper lifestyle is and hip hop lifestyle is pretty rough, but
Uh,
yeah, it sounds like he's gone a little overboard with things.
I told you that we did a fundraiser with Busta Rhymes, right?
Oh, really?
Did I say that?
I don't know that you did.
Yeah, we just ran a fundraiser with Busta Rhymes, and I didn't have any interaction with him. This was one where it was very much handled by his management, and it's like any sort of production stuff they handled and approvals of content, things like that. So I never got to speak with him or see him in person, but that was interesting for all of the celebrities that I've worked with. he was like the one that I couldn't like have any interaction with. But we ended up raising over $2 million. So
Wow. Yeah.
makes sense.
It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I've
Uh,
seen Ice Cube a couple of times in person. I was
oh,
in an
really?
elevator with him at the W once when I was on a business trip in San Francisco. And then I saw him once at the Crazy Horse 2 strip club in Las Vegas when I lived there. You know how I love a strip club. And I know a rapper loves a strip club. So I passed him when we were like walking in and out there. So
That's cool.
Ice Cube
We
twice.
have, wow, this is like the hip hop episode.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention the name right now because it's not like officially official, but we probably on Monday will have a signature from another major performing artist who falls in like the R&B hip hop realm.
Oh.
And I love her.
Oh.
And I'm just going to leave
Well,
that for now.
okay. Well, maybe you can tell me offline.
Well, I feel like we have a lot to discuss right now. My
Yeah.
Bloody Mary is tapped, and I'm going to eat these okra, and I feel like we need to hop over to our talk of shame.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I guess I'll go ahead and tell everyone where they can continue to listen to us. Nothing has changed. We are still on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube at the Forbidden Pod. You can also go on our social sites, which is same YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at the Forbidden Pod.
And TikTok.
Um, and TikTok, I always forget about TikTok. Maybe because we haven't really done any TikToks in the past couple weeks.
I feel like I haven't posted anything at all.
Yeah, I haven't posted anything since our last episode that I posted on Facebook. So we'll get back into the swing of things.
Yeah,
Summer's now over. Officially, summer is over as of last weekend. I
it
hate it
is.
when they say summer's over after Labor Day. That drives me crazy.
That's nonsense. But I
Isn't it?
love that we are now officially in Halloween season.
Oh, I know you are. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the talk of shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, visit our website, www.theforbiddenpod.com. And if you have any show ideas, feedback, etc., email us at hello@theforbiddenpod.com. And I think I've covered it all.
Yeah. Well, thank you for waking up for this recording.
No, that one was good. I knew that Rick James did something where he was in major trouble,
Yeah,
but I never really got like what happened with that.
I
And
didn't either.
just so fucking shocked that he only did 2 years for all of that. That's crazy.
And did
Like,
he have more hits? I don't know. Maybe we'll get into that in our talk of shame.
yeah, because I'm with you. The only thing I know is Super Frank.
Yeah,
I think that's truly, unless there's one out there that I've forgotten about, like all I know is Super Frank.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He was a little before our time, though.
he was. We're young.
Yeah,
You can tell
God.
by the bags under my eyes right now.
Well, Blake, thank you for that wonderful story.
You are welcome. And listener, as
As
always,
always, we thank
thank you
you.
for being a friend.